welcome to this Forge College Explainer. So today, we're actually making a pretty major pivot. We're shifting gears from our highly theoretical lesson on Solana's proof of history and diving headfirst into the incredibly practical, hands-on, and, let's be honest, sometimes completely maddening world of Ethereum smart contract debugging. Specifically, using console logs to trace execution.
Now, if you've been following along in this track, you're probably thinking, wait, wasn't our last stop Solana? And yeah, you'd be exactly right. We just finished exploring Solana's massive, sweeping architecture. But now it's time to trade in our theoretical telescopes for magnifying glasses. We're zooming all the way in to solve the daily, ground-level mysteries of failing transactions in Ethereum dev stacks. Yep, it is time to get our hands dirty. Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the cold case of reverts. Pick up our magnifying glass, lay out the blueprint, go through a step-by-step investigation, and finally wrap up with a checkpoint.
All right, Section 1, the cold case, reverts.
Look, if you've written any Solidity at all, you know exactly the pain I'm talking about here. Imagine a failing require statement is like this massive, completely unyielding bouncer at an exclusive club. You hand them your transaction, and they just cross their arms and say, nope, you can't come in. But they give you absolutely zero reasons why. No explanation, nothing. That is the old way of doing things, dealing with ambiguous revert outputs, guessing, and basically just staring at your code at 2 in the morning until your eyes literally start to water. We are moving entirely away from that today. Instead, our goal is to gather concrete runtime evidence. We want verifiable, exact snapshots of what your smart contract was actually doing the exact millisecond before it crashed.
Which brings us to Section 2, the magnifying glass.
Enter our absolute favorite forensic tool, the simple yet incredibly powerful Solidity console.log. Think of it as a magnifying glass for your code's runtime values. Our ultimate goal here is to build what we call a transaction demo. This is a verifiable artifact. It's a small, recorded run that captures key inputs, intermediate calculations, and branch outcomes right before a failure happens. Basically, it officially replaces that desperate developer guesswork of, man, I swear it broke right around here with, I can mathematically prove it broke right here, and hey, here are the numbers to back it up.
Moving right along to Section 3, the blueprint.
Okay, so we really want to avoid the chaotic spray and pray method. You know the one, where you just panic and dump console logs on literally every single line of code. That just creates a massive wall of terminal noise that's honestly harder to read than the original error. Instead, we're going to follow this golden rule of 3 for strategic placement. First, you log at the function entry. Why? To see if the inputs actually matched your expectations. Second, log right after an intermediate calculation. This checks if the resulting magnitude even makes sense. And third, log right before the require statement to capture the Boolean predicate. So that's 3 targeted logs. No more, no less, just surgical precision.
All right, let's put this into practice. Section 4, step-by-step investigation.
To build our chain of evidence, we need a deterministic local test runner. By deterministic, I mean we remove absolutely all randomness, so the error happens exactly the same way every single time. It's a rigorous 4-step investigation. First, create a simple contract. Second, write an intentionally failing test, so you're breaking it on purpose with hard-coded inputs. Third, run that test to capture the terminal trace with your shiny new logs. And fourth, annotate that trace. You are literally writing the narrative of why that transaction died.
Now listen up, because this is probably the most crucial discipline in this entire process. You have to limit yourself to exactly 1 log remediation per test run. Seriously, just 1. If you run your test and the logs don't give you the answer, do not go back and add 20 more logs. Keep your iteration minimalist. Change one thing, add 1 targeted log, and rerun. I promise you, this discipline is what saves you from drowning in a massive scrolling wall of unreadable terminal noise. Take it 1 step at a time.
Almost there. Section 5, checkpoint. Before you can slam the case folder shut and declare your debugging artifact valid, your evidence has to pass a strict review. First up is reproducibility. The transaction must fail consistently, no randomness allowed. Second is clarity of values. Please label your numbers. Print product equals 6, not just a naked, confusing 6 floating in the terminal. And third, diagnostic narrowing. Your logs have to create a logical chain that points directly to the root cause in a single, undeniable step. If your artifact fails any of these 3 checks, well, you're going right back to the drawing board.
Ultimately, a well-placed console log transforms this exact question, Why did the require evaluate to false from a frustrating total dead-end mystery into a clear, prioritized checklist? By capturing the inputs, the intermediate math, and the final Boolean check, you now have a verifiable artifact. You aren't guessing anymore, right? You are proving it. And that concrete proof is the absolute perfect foundation for learning much deeper, more complex tracing tools.
By treating your console logs like surgical instruments rather than blunt objects, you're going to save yourself literally hours of debugging headaches. This explainer was made by Forge College. To continue mastering these tools, grab the code we discussed today. And to explore more Ethereum dev stacks and Web3 topics, make sure you visit forge.college. But before we go, I want to leave you with this thought. If console logs act as our magnifying glass for basic errors, what happens when state changes become so incredibly complex that a simple magnifying glass just isn't enough anymore? What does an Ethereum microscope even look like? Think about it. I'll catch you in the next explainer.